as we are going to start in the bottom right-hand side. The blue Zerg player, he was definitely the underdog on that side of the bracket, but we'll talk more about his run in a moment. This is Lambo in the bottom right. Taking on the red Terran in the top left from Team Liquid, it is Clem looking for his third ESL Open Cup Europe win in a row. He would be the third player, after Hero Marine and Raynor to have done that, to win 3 of these events in a row. And he's killed, Hero Marine in the first time he won this, Soul last week, and now looking for, again, his third in a row. It would be his 6th win overall, catching up to Showtime, who has 7 wins. Obviously, Hero Marine on 18 wins is a little bit out of reach. But good to see Clem putting some consistency up in these weekly cups. We'll obviously see if he does come out ahead of Lambo here to take that 3rd in a row. Obviously, Lambo never won one of these, but does have 3 silver medal finishes, so he's came 2nd place 3 times in these events, as we set up with a pretty regular opening. Lambo's run today most notably took down Showtime, and then he took down Vanya in the semifinals, a Vanya that took down Hero Marine, so maybe you could argue that Hero Marine, that Vanya kind of made Lambo's run easier for him, but then obviously Lambo still comes through and wins that ZVZ to knock Vanya out on the follow-up, so good effort from Lambo. I believe he also had something happen in the last, in the round before Showtime as well. He took down Skillers. He's actually had a pretty tough run. Clem's run, not exactly much easier, though. I mean, Clem went through Rail and then Kalazur, then Max Pax in a very cheesy semi-final to make it to the finals here himself. As we do just see a factory down, still a lot of setting up right now, a lot of building up, all the usual stuff as Reaper drops a grenade, a few links coming through, and the Reaper just going to get chased out a little bit, and our drones just going to keep on mining, no problems at all. 3 CC from Clem, so no second gas, just straight to 3 bases, and a nice macro start for this TvZ. So yeah, in between the games, or before this game started, I'll just say in-game as well, in case we put this up on YouTube, give you YouTube viewers a few of the facts as well. If this was a good series, it'll go up there. But Clem and Lambo, Clem really dominates this matchup when you look at the history, and especially lately, Lambo has not won a series in 7 meetings against Clem this year. And to be fair, Clem, TvZ really does constantly look like his better matchup, so yeah, Clem, in a way that doesn't surprise me, but with how dominant the year Clem has had outside of when he's had to face off against Hero Marine in these cups or Showtime, or it's Hero Marine, Showtime, Raynor, and Cyril where Clem loses frequently, right? Otherwise, Clem really is just, I'm not going to say untouchable to other players, but he's difficult to beat for sure. I mean, there's very few players that have won a lot of matches against Clem this year, so yeah, it's definitely doesn't look good for Lambo when you look at the stats going into this one. Reaper just wants to move up that ramp. Couple queens. Gonna push the Reaper away, and Stimpack is building up from Clem up in the main base, so gets that ready to go. Reaper and a couple of Hellions going around toward the 3rd base. Yeah, and that Stim still coming through. SCV pulls in, gets that lane kill. Couple of queens still pushing out. Now we do see a bit of creep spread continuing to push forward here and taking the map by storm. Honestly, that's one of the things the Italians would like to deny, but it's difficult because you've got to make a judgment call of A, where are you meant to be to deny that creep at any point in time. It's going out in so many directions, but also, 2 Hellions don't want to get too active with the Queen, so you've got to be kind of cautious about when you do show yourselves. He actually only ever built 2 Hellions because it's a very quick barracks behind this, and he's just going to go into this 2-1-1 follow-up. So this is obviously very similar to the typical 2-1-1, but you got this 3 CC early, and then because of that, you get 2 Hellions as well. So it's obviously going to move out, not even that much later. Usually a 2-1-1 would hit about now, and now the medevacs are going to be leaving the base 15 seconds late from that, so it's like about a 45-second delay, but you've got a 3 CC down in position already. Now Lambo is actually making a Roach run alongside the Lair, so we'll see what the hell Lambo wants to do going on in this game, but to me, that kind of screams like he wants to play, obviously he wants to play Roaches, but probably a very aggressive sort of 1-1 timing. These couple of Hellions go home. I actually kind of like these Hellions going home. This Overlord sees this. Lambo's probably like, well, nothing scary on the map just yet, right? His scouting has been pretty good, though. I actually didn't realize Lambo had seen so much. He did actually see this double rack, so he should know to be building units sometime around now, and he is building Lings. Not Roaches just yet, though, as Clem You'll initially just use this to clean out creep spread, and yeah, basically you sacrifice early Hellions to get these Marines up instead. He's going to use those to take some of the map control. And it does work perfectly. Even getting a queen kill is a nice little bonus on top of all of that creep spread, which he gets to find very early on. Still coming through. Obviously just going to get a few extra lings. Just going to be having our medevacs continuing out over the right side. And we do have a drilling clause setting up on the second factory. So it's a very quick second factory. We've seen this Widow Mine drop play become very popular again lately. So a super fast drilling clause. Now roaches, obviously, they don't really care so much for drilling clause or Widow Mines. Like, they're like, well, whatever. You know, we can run over Widow Mines a little bit more than Ling Bane can. So the fact that Clem isn't building siege tanks is good news for Lambo. What I do wonder about is, can Clem maybe add in some tanks very quickly, because he already has a second factory and it's already on a tech lab. And that might be big when it comes to defending this, but I don't think the time's really going to be there, right? We're talking about 1-1 Roach Ravager already moving across the map, and, well, reality is right now, Clem doesn't have any information on it. He has no idea that this is happening. First Widow Mines go off in the third base, though, for 8 drone kills. Now these Lings go running in. These Marines have to lift off and back away. Here comes the Roach Ravager. Clem is starting to realize what's up. These Widow Mines, they don't have drilling claws yet, so they're not able to unburrow, reburrow super quickly straight away. I mean, generally in these scenarios, you have to pull SCVs in to survive this, and I imagine this will be no different for Clem here. Here come the SCVs. The SCVs buff for the damage, so you have enough army left to maybe just clean up after. Obviously, Clem was already on a work lead going into this. He brought his other Marines back from across the map. All of his SCVs already down, and it feels like a lot of Roach Ravagers still around. Again, Widow Mines just do not work well against a Roach Ravager-focused army, and that's what Lambo uses to his advantage to push in here. He hit this very well. Clem had no idea about it. For all of the map control he took, he didn't get that scout and info needed, and Lambo is able to steal a game 1. To the bottom right-hand side, our blue Zerg player. This is Lambo. Top left-hand side, our red Terran player from Team Liquid. Give it up if you're cheering on Clem. Game 2 of this best of 5. And as we get this up and running, a hatchery to go down from Lambo in the natural. Nice start early on as you see Lambo going to make his way out into the center of the map here. And, yeah, I really liked Lambo's build in the last game, right? Like I said from the start, I was like, well, it's a bit of a curveball. It's something you don't usually see. And it was obviously designed from the start. It was obviously his plan from very early. And like I said, he hit it really well. It felt like Clem was only really figuring it out toward the latter stage. Like, he started the bunkers as the attack hit. So he figured out it was coming, but just way too late, because Lambo never really showed the roaches. Clem never got that deep into the bases with his Marines and the drop. And that was that. You know, that was it. Then we went on from there, and we were good. So, yeah, cool first game. I still liked Clem's opening. I liked the way that Clem got set up himself, and I think what Clem was doing was great. Just what Lambo did was, especially with not being scouted by Clem, what Lambo did was deadly to what Clem was doing, right? Because if Clem, like, plays blindly into siege tanks, he has the possibility of being able to hold this without knowing it's coming as well. It's still not likely, but it's a much better setup. The Widow Mines really don't do anything against those roaches. And unfortunately for Clem, I feel like it's one of those rare builds that you come up against that those Widow Mines really just don't do anything at all. They did what? They splashed onto 2 different groups of roaches, and that was it. Obviously, you got a few into the mineral line, and they got some kills there, but that was really about it. Things coming through. The Reaper going to go back and forth with them, and just going to be having our link speed already coming up from Lambo. Clem, double gas this time, so he's going to put a bit more pressure on early. He's going to be a bit more focused on probably a starboard, and Clem, he loves the Viking into Liberator. Sometimes he loves that just Liberator stim. That's probably his favorite of all. We'll see what he wants to choose to go for. He's going to dive for the creep tumor. Doesn't get it. Wow, he probably... obviously, it's very close coming out, but I wonder if he could have moved into the main base and then just jumped out via the main. Then I actually feel like maybe he could have just gotten that creep tumor. So, you know, if you come in here, you kill the creep tumor, you just go toward the main, you wouldn't have taken the Ling damage. Maybe the other queen could have intercepted, but I feel like that was a possibility there to get the creep tumor kill. Creep tumor kill early is great because it slows down that creep a lot. That's 25 energy when you don't have a lot of queens as Lambo. And it just means from the start you're already holding everything back just a little bit. It's Clem. Armory on the way, and we're going to be seeing him getting aggressive here in game number 2. So Armory coming up. Ling speed is about to kick in from Lambo, and, well, that's all he's building right now. Lings. Well, he's not even building Lings, but Ling speed and queens and drones. So this Hellbat attack is going to hit quickly as well, right? This medevac's going to pop. Going to take these Marines across. This is around that 420 sort of timing that this is all going to kick in, and, well, it's scary. I mean, you can hold this just with Queen Ling. No spine at all, though. Like, he just has... I mean, it's similar. It's the reverse of the last game. Last game, Clem had no clue. This time, Lambo has no clue. Can Lambo pull something together here? Oh, my God. He's dropping more creep tumors. He doesn't have any transfusions available. He really didn't know about this until, like, now. So, this is rough. As you can see, this first queen already being chased. It goes down very quickly. I mean, honestly, the faster you get these queen kills, the better. Oh, my God. The micro. The Hellbat. Pulled to the back by the medevac. I mean, that's the sort of stuff which just obviously amplifies the effectiveness of these kind of builds. Clem's going to force those drones to go running. Lings are showing up into this fight and doing nothing. Every queen goes down so easily. And, I mean, you've still got, like, a whole ton of drones that are just out there doing absolutely nothing at all. Because what the hell are they meant to do? Where are they meant to go to? Well, maybe now they can make their way back to the third, which is what they will do. There's no Hellions showing up to make the most of that or anything. As these Lings stream in to finally get the cleanup. But obviously... this took a long time to clean up. Now we've got the Liberator showing up for the next wave of harassment. A lot of queens have already gone down. So you're already talking about a weakened defense against this. This queen needs to get the hell out of there. It's chosen the long way to run. It probably would have got out to the right side. Yeah, I mean, now we're just talking about, again, just Liberator siege and forcing drones to pull. I mean, Lambo's not mining during all of this. And yeah, it might not have been a massive work to kill count, but the lack of mining... yeah, I feel like this is one of those GGs where some people in chat might be like, but he's on 46 drones still, the worker count's even, he's still on 3 bases, but it doesn't matter. Look at this income graph, look what Clem's got in his favor, Stim's about to be done. Lambo is not going to survive the next fights, you know, and Lambo very much so knows that, so he conserves his energy, and Clem ties. On the left-hand side, we'll start with the blue, the Zerg player. Here on Oxide, this is Lambo. Top right side of the map, we do have our red Terran player from Team Liquid, Clem. 1-1 tied up. How long has it been since Lambo was in one of these finals? We've talked about the numbers and stuff like this for Clem a lot. Lambo, I mentioned that this was his 4th finals. He's not been in a final of one of these events since July 13th was the last time Lambo was in a finals. He lost out to Showtime. I believe in that event it was... a win against Euthermal that sent him through, and it was a 3-1 against Euthermal sent him through to that final after Euthermal had knocked out Clem. I'm trying to remember what that finals was like, but I don't think it was... can't remember that one. Not gonna lie. I think Showtime just looked pretty good. It's actually fun looking at all the different players that have made finals and stuff, and you know, reading a lot of the kind of making the storylines, I guess, with these events. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. That's why I talk about it a lot in the early stages of the games, especially when we get deep on in. So it's yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Storylines in the tournaments. And it is cool as well, because I think these tournaments obviously part of the ESL Pro Tier, right? They earn points for making finals, 5 points second place, 10 points first place. Obviously, there's also $200 for first, $100 second, third, and fourth place take home $50 each. But it means that when we come around to casting the ESL Pro Tour, you know, larger events such as DreamHacks and stuff, these events do lead in, you know, these cups do lead into the storylines way more often than usual because it's part of the reason these guys are earning points, right? You know, that's a huge part of this as well. So yeah, I like going back and checking out all the statistics and stuff like that. Hey, what's up, Avatar? Abba. Thank you so much for the subscription here as we go into game number 3. We're going to come around, get a Ling pretty quickly and easily, to be honest. Wasn't so bad. And other than that, nothing else to really shout about just yet. The hatch on the right side is going down, so that's coming up already, and that's about it, guys. Yeah, not much to say. Clem is double gas again, so similar to the last game. I'd be surprised if we saw back-to-back Hellbat attacks. I'd be surprised about back-to-back Hellbat attacks. This time I'd more expect like a Liberator and Stim or so, that kind of combination. It seems a lot more, much more likely to me this time than anything else, so. Let's see Reaper coming back in, a couple Lings still getting chased around a little bit too. We'll see the first few Hellions showing up to back up this Reaper, and there is the Liberator. Now, no tech lab on the barracks just yet, so we'll keep an eye on that. What else could he be doing from here? I mean, if there's going to be an armory, it has to be like right now. Otherwise, this just isn't going to line up at all. And that's one way you can go for like a Hellbat attack, but make it different, right? You know, armory right now, and then it hits a bit later, but it's also a Liberator instead of a Medevac in the Marines. It can work. There's the tech lab on the barracks, though, so it's just going to start coming in. I mean, it is late, though. Look at Clem's money. He could absolutely afford Stim right now, right? There's generally around 100 minerals left over. There is absolutely enough gas. I feel like that is a little bit of a shame. So yeah, this is what I mean. Like that's all I was. That's why I was talking about the armory, because to me, I was thinking, well, I just feel like Stim starts up a little bit earlier. I don't think it makes a big difference. I don't think he gets Marines out, you know, much faster or anything, but you never know when defensively your handful of Marines having Stim a few seconds earlier might help against certain attacks, right? Something you can consider and keep in mind. I mean, it does no harm to keep it in mind, right? Hellions going to find their way onto the third base. Now the Lings took a little while to get over here. They're on their way over now. The drone's going to pull away. Lings still in quite a bit of trouble here, honestly. I mean, I don't even think this is a bad trade-out, because you trade out for every single Zergling bar. Well, not even bar 1. You actually are going to end up on a Hellion left over for a moment there. Obviously, this comes in at the same time as the Liberator wanted to set up, but Liberator got sent back home. So yeah, I mean, just using the kind of combo of units here to kind of turn things around, get stuff set up, and to try and find openings. And honestly, I don't think it's that bad for Clem. I mean, you look at what's being lost in terms of resources, pretty even. You could argue that Clem's map control is now down a little bit, but you can also argue that realistically, maybe Lambo's kind of caught in a corner. Like, he didn't remake any Lings. If Clem had made like 2 more Hellions and he had 4 Hellions right now, then he would kind of just kill like a whole ton of drones. So Lambo kind of taking a little bit of a risk. I mean, in this case, it's an educated risk, and it is going to pay off. All right, all right. Oh, we do see a couple of Hellions around the right side. Queen showing up. 1-1 on the way. Lambo with the Roaches again. So, going back to what we kind of saw in that first game. Especially when you've cleaned out these Hellions, right? I mean, difficult for Clem to pick up the info. You know, Roach Roaring is out down over here. It's going to be very difficult to get anything into the front of the natural. So unless you actually see the Roaches, which this Liberator is not, I think Clem might get caught a little bit off guard once more. A few drones do start to go down. So a few drones starting to drop. Liberator will re-siege and now going to relocate. A little bit of a push from Clem. I mean, this time at least he was producing tanks early, right? So when he sees the Roach Ravager now, and immediately he's like, right, I don't fight Roach Ravager. He knows he doesn't fight Roach Ravager. Roach Ravager, you sit back at home defensively against. You just don't engage into that. So That's a good call from Clem to back away from this. Started up a bunker right away. Now he's kept all of his tanks alive, so he has the maximum possible defense against this as well. Yeah, I mean, I like it. To me, it makes a lot of sense. I think this is looking good for Clem initially now. He might still have to pull SCVs into this. Just the way the Roach Ravager works, where it can be very good in these initial numbers, but once you shut it down, it never really recovers from that. So you can give up like 15 SCVs and fall behind in workers here if it helps you survive, because all you have to do really is, Clem, is survive. He doesn't have that bunker really being put to use just yet. He does have the tank surviving a long time. It took a long time for any amount of corrosive battles to come down there. And now that the corrosive battles have come down, I would argue that, well, it was just too late. And obviously these Marines, you saw how much damage the tanks did. Now these Marines just stim forward, and there's just not enough Roach Ravager to stand up to them. A Marauder mixed in as well now, and these few Roaches keep going down. A couple transfusions from the Queens to try and desperately stay alive. But Clem is comfortable fighting without the siege tank support at this stage. Just trying to see how many kills those tanks had, but not many. It's just the overall splash that those tanks deal, and now Clem's on the way to 2-2. Didn't even need an SCV pull. That part I'm actually like, you know, he didn't even need an SCV pull, and I guess it's just because he had good retention of units from not trading out on that push down the bottom side of the map. GG's for Clem to take the lead. Bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg player. Can he bring it back and force us into an ace match? This is Lambo. Taking on the red Terran in the top right-hand side. Give it up if you're cheering on Clem from Team Liquid. I mean, this was a perfect example of the difference between Game 1 and Game 3. I love how Twitch chat is like, I'm not sure about this push, guys. Like, what the hell is he doing? I mean, he literally won Game 1 with the exact same push. The problem is he commits to it. This time, Clem's playing a siege tank style to begin with. So he's already naturally set up better, and then he actually figures it out pretty well. And from then, the actual fight, I think, was important to bring into play, too, to look at it also, because the tanks survived for so long. Lambo actually could have battled some of the tanks way more quickly, and he just didn't. And to me, you let those tanks get 2, maybe 3 volleys off that they shouldn't have had. And I think that's where it all went wrong for Lambo. Because at that point, you're just taking way too many losses. Like, at that point, you're not meant to do well with that push against that many tanks. So, yeah. And it was also big that Clem never gave up the tanks early, right? He didn't lose any of them being too aggressive or anything along those lines. So yeah, just a tough one for Lambo. It's almost like, because he's so committed into it, what do you do? Can you transition out of that? Well, it's extremely difficult to transition out of that because you're not really playing the right sort of style to play a mid-game with. What do you do? Start up a Bane Nest, and then you've got to start up melee upgrades from +0. You know, and even if you go into Banes, then you're talking about a Baneling Nest, which is going to take, like, a ton of time to get going. Like, it's just going to take forever, man. Like, it's just going to take so long to set that up. You just don't have, you know, you got to get Bane speed. You're just not in the right position. So he decides to just go for it. And I don't know if the right fight even would have been that much better, because this was extremely one-sided anyway. But, yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with this decision to just commit in the end, I suppose. Keep it. Comes into the natural there and doesn't really find anything. Not even a dance with the Lings, really. A little bit of damage taken on either side, but it's about all. 3cc setting up from Clem. Factory about to finish up in the main. Reactor finishes on the barracks, so the factory can swap onto the reactor. The barracks can go off to the side. That is going to be a starport to set up from Clem in the main base as well. So yeah, 3cc into the starport too. So to do this, you have to give up some Hellion production, because it's just this is like super mineral intensive. So usually you go 3cc, you don't go starport right away, but this time he will, so you'll still have a Viking early in the game. He doesn't have the gas count to go for like a Liberator. The other option is to go for like a Medevac. And if you go Medevac, you can obviously Hellion drop a little bit, so that can be okay. Looks like he's actually going to go... Okay, sorry. So this is actually the third option I didn't think about because I'm derping. But he's going to go Banshee, but not Cloak. Just a single Cloakless Banshee. So it's just the super... This is probably the most common way of doing this, actually, if you go Starport. It gives you a 3cc and a super safe follow-up because you have the Banshee defensively. So that's exactly what we're going to end up seeing. So yeah, that's just me being a little bit slow to pick up on the obvious, honestly. Alright, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of Hellions and the Reaper coming around the bottom side. You also see the Tech Lab setting up from Clem on the racks. He actually does start Cloak. I'm not convinced he's going to commit to Cloak versus this just being a fake out for the Overlord Scout. I mean, the thing is, it's something which he could keep. But obviously, I mean, as Lambo, you have to respect it already, no matter what. Clem starts Stim. You can see he doesn't really have the money for a second Banshee, and that's why, to me, the Cloak doesn't necessarily add up, but he is going to go for it. He's going to stick to it. So, yeah, a little bit of an odd way of getting there, but he gets there eventually. Again, it's just that gas strain because you were triple CC off one gas initially. So, a little bit strained for gas, but making it work out. Our Banshee, Cloak, Stim, all of this continuing to set up. Hellions go out down to the bottom side. We've got a few of these Queens coming in as well. There's Banshee just sat to the left of the main. Of course, right now, Lambo has no idea if this is going to be a finished Cloak and a second Banshee. So he just kind of has to, like, respect the Banshees a little bit. And yeah, eventually they're going to show up and he has to be ready for that. And that's difficult because, again, you've got to prepare for something that isn't really going to be there 100% of the time. It can be very easy just sort of say, nah, I'm going to be all right. You know, I'm going to let it slide. I think it's putting some good pressure on Creep Tumors, forcing these Queens to put multiple more Creep Tumors down. Banshee is setting up on the left. Gets drone toward the trying to transfer him down. I mean, this is the power of the Cloak Banshees, right? Doesn't matter how prepared you are for them. It's still possible to find damage with them. And now the Hellions come in at the same time, but good movement of the Lings, good movement of the Queens. And nothing really lost there from Lambo. Very well handled. And she's getting a little bit more done. The Hellions come back in. That's 5 drones now dead on that bottom side. Only pick away this hatchery now, and the medevac's coming along. I mean, this 4th base being low is actually kind of an issue because now it's more easily taken down by like an attack like this one. So you don't really get to like buy a bit of time as you morph Banelings or anything, or you wait for Baneling speed. You gotta go and be ready to defend right away. And these Banshees are sitting at like 13 total kills. Oh, Hellions are on their own here. That's a shame. Good grenade, gonna blast the Lings. And the Marines are gonna find the drop off onto the side. That's really good because that looked scary for a few moments. The Banshee's still alive, by the way. So 5 and 9 kills, 14 in total. And that's pretty much all drones. There's a couple Lings mixed in there too, but this is a good move from Lambo. Stop Clem from just unloading and going right away. Those Banes aren't actually ready. I'm kind of surprised Clem's backing away so much. Tank's getting a lot of Ling kills as they move in here initially. Marines will stim across, and I think with the tank damage, Marines will just clean that out. I wonder why Clem didn't pull the trigger down here. That really didn't seem like much. Maybe just felt like 0-0 against 1-1 wasn't great for him. One of the Banshees went down during all of this. Now the Hellions going to get caught on their own. A little bit of a shame. They're still nice units to have, right? Because they obviously do add a bit of splash when Ling and Bane is just running in toward you. So obviously always nice to keep them up if you can. As these Lings show back up, I mean, a few more reinforcements will be on their way over. And Clem is losing SCVs to this. The siege tank friendly fire doesn't help. Even putting the SCVs low just makes it much easier for the Lings to then chew on through. T2 upgrades, plus combat shield coming up. A lot more Marines setting up as well, and these Marines gonna go spreading out, gets a Ling. around the back. The Lambo just chilling out up on the top side. Bit of bio tanks still coming down through the center of the map. Ling's just going to nibble their way through these rocks and getting a little bit extra out of this here. I'm still pushing through the Banes. They're going to take a turn. They're going to make a run in. Well, tank's going to have to start sieging. Nope, apparently not. Just being off creep is good enough. That's a massive stim from Clem. Big counterattack again, though, and I mean, this is just consistent. It's a huge counterattack from Lambo. He's already on 2-2 upgrades, by the way. I don't know what happened with Clem's upgrades. We're obviously just really far off. I think he just didn't start 2-2 for a long time because his 1-1 was pretty well timed out, right? He gets this 4th hatchery. How well does the rest of this fight go? Down in the upgrades? Don't really think it should go that well for Clem, and I don't think it has. Lambo's going to clean this up. I mean, you talk about Clem back at home. I mean, he's only 10 SCVs down. There's no 4th base of Lambo, so the loss of the 4th base really makes this playable when, you know, on the outset, it didn't really feel as though that was going to be the case at all. Yeah, that scan from Clem's really like I think that scan's almost like if you've got a 4th base down here, I'm going to have to drop it and kill it, or might just be out of the game already, but right now, Clem's actually still leading in supply. Once he gets 2-2, that'll be amazing. The only thing now is that maybe Clem is slowed down enough that Lambo gets up to these lurkers safely. We saw the Hydra Den added in, but never actually anything really done with it. Lambo's starting to move down to the bottom side base, but he sees the chance to kill a hatchery, and oh, he leaves it alive, low HP. He would have had a kill as well. It was not going to be cancelled by Lambo initially. No way. Gets the cancel now. A bit of a mistake. He could scan here, though, and get a lot of creep spread. Clean out a lot of the control on this bottom side. And that maybe just opens up this base to future attacks as well around the right bottom side of the map. And those kind of attacks are obviously very powerful and can do a lot of counterattack again. Just Lings, but now Clem. And at what point is Clem do you just build a single bunker here, right? Because it's not like you're dying to like Bane busts and stuff. Like, Lambo's getting so much value out of pure Zerglings, and that's probably the part of the problem. Like, if Lambo's doing all this with the Banes, then at least he's paying that much more to do it. But he's not doing that. He's not paying the Baneling tax, right? He's just running in with Lings. And Clem just left nothing there defensively. Now he does. Leave a little bit more in that position. Fire down the side. A few more creep teamers going down. Liberator comes across, trying to find a nice little position to siege in. Guess what? It's another Ling run by. I mean, this time there's a lot of bio on the natural wall off. Tank, couple of Marines. Yeah. Okay, I mean, even if you just lose the tank, it's better than losing the SCVs, I think, overall. Dragon Claw's now coming up, but you know what? I don't think you actually want Widow Mines when these lurkers come into play. Clem sees these lurkers and see what he wants to try and do about it. He'll get the Queens off to the side. He's going to keep pushing forward for a moment. The lurkers don't actually have seismic spines just yet, so they're not able to cover each other as easily as they might usually. I still don't think that makes this a position you just attack into, though, as Clem. This Liberator here gets a few more kills as well. Man, he's just so good with the little things, right? You always, like, that's the thing with Clem. You can look at the minimap, and basically at any point, you can just know something else is probably happening. It's never just the main attack. It's never just the one little thing. You know, it's the extra stuff as well. And that's where Clem finds so much of the damage, right? That's where all the extra little bits of damage come from. That's what makes his TvZ so scary, because he gets so much more than so many other Terran players, because he finds value in so much more that the other Terran players don't. Now puts a treble drop bottom right. And with treble drop bottom right, I mean, these Lings. But once Clem actually... What is this? Clem actually has a defense on the 3rd base? Are you kidding me? Never heard of that before. What am I actually... Some burrow's not going to fire the shot in case it led to friendly fire. Clem, did he go back into... What did he do with the Widow Mines? He's got 2 of them dropping. He's gone back into tank production, though. When he saw the lurkers, he realized what he had to do there. These Marines just going to straight up kill that hatchery. He probably could have used the hatchery as a wall off and just fought the Lings. The Lings were on move command anyway. These lurkers make a play forward, Clem. I mean, this is the difficult part for Clem, because the lurkers obviously are very powerful when they get in position, but they weren't supported by anything. Like, where was the support? He doesn't have a scan right now to keep on fighting, so he has to back away. He gets cleaned up in the bottom side, but it just doesn't make a difference. Lambo can't stay in this, and Clem will be the third player to win 3 ESL Open Cups in a row. How about that? Well, the only player not to have done that now that's won more than 1 Open Cup is Raynor. No, sorry, Showtime. Showtime was the name I wanted to say. For some reason I had Raynor in my head. Wow. GG's Clem. 3-1 Lambo in the ESL Open Cup number 41 Grand Final.